What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NBA Betting Show here on FTN. I'm your host, spitting statistician Dane Martinez. We got Noops in the building, and we've got Prop God in the building. If you want to comment, if you have something to say, let us know. Hit us up in the comments. We will try to get some of them in on the show. We'll try to answer your questions. We've got 8 games on the slate tonight, but before we get into that, I got to ask you, it's funny, I think like all of us had some action on, I think, the Cleveland Cavaliers game, and then, we see that Cavs and Pelicans game is not going to look the same as maybe we thought this morning. I personally was on Darius Garland. We were talking about last week how these back-to-backs are something that you can think about, right, Noobs? The idea that maybe you anticipate kind of different usage, different rest, and what do you know? It has happened in that game, and I'm sure a couple of others. So let me get you kind of at a big picture level. Talk to me about your process, because these things happen every night in the NBA. We've got the NBA betting model. We've got the prop model. It is usually very sharp, but we were talking before the show. You maybe want to go into that not at the very beginning of the day, but after shoot around and practice. What I'd love to know, Noops, is take me behind the curtain in your process, in your timing on when you solidify some of your plays, because it's a moving target sometimes here in the NBA.
Yeah, it really is. It's something that used to be a big overnight better. I don't find myself doing that much anymore because just a lot more uncertainty around who's going to be available to play. And, part of the reality, Dane, is just come to the realization that you're going to waste some time. As an NBA capper, you're going to put a lot of work in that is just the rug is going to be pulled right out from under you. And I will say I'm going to pat myself in the back a little bit. I did identify this game as such last night where, I looked at it. The Pelicans looked like they were going to pull everybody out. You've got the Cavs, second night of a back-to-back. Yes, they're at home. Yes, they want to bounce back here, but we see this time and time again. And I think, honestly, we're probably pretty lucky. I think this is the first such game like this where, one team looks, everybody's out for them. Great. We're going to sit everybody out and just kind of see how this goes. So what you have to do here is try to be careful, but there is some value. When there's more variance, when there's more unknown, everybody has that level of unknown. You're kind of on a little more level playing field in the books and maybe even a little bit ahead because you have the time to go through all this stuff. So, what I would say is, and the folks at FTN do a great job, Frank Brank and the team with the models, they are in there constantly updating stuff, tweaking stuff. So this is one where, I looked this morning to see what it was, but I knew I'm going to wait till after lunch, probably even just before dinner time, before I really start to dig into this, because we got stuff like Elfrid Payton, not only still in the NBA, folks, but he's probably going to be starting tonight.
Yeah. Prop, what about you? Talk to me about your process as well, because I know you go into the models, you do your own independent research, and then, kind of the tectonic plates shift beneath you at times based on kind of late scratches and things like that. So how do you kind of account for that? Do you try to anticipate that in any way, shape, or form, get ahead of it? Or do you, are you at the mercy of some of this late news just like everybody else?
Well, yeah, I was at the mercy of it today because I had bet on Darius Garland. I love taking him against the Pelicans. Well, just any facilitating point guard against New Orleans. And, they ruled out the whole starting 5. But usually I like to get my work done the night before, but it's been a little bit different now, with the newborn. So I've been doing it, the day of. I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, so I usually will try to do it the day before, but sometimes I try to predict it too. I know you asked that as well.
Yeah.
Like, last season we would know if the Lakers had a back-to-back, either probably LeBron or AD would sit out, and then with Boston, Tatum or Porzingis would sit out if they had a back-to-back. So you kind of got a rhythm of knowing what these teams would do, but this season is kind of been, up in the air, and I think tonight is like the first experience of that. So it's a little disheartening because I want to make some money fading the Pelicans.
Yeah, I also was on Darius Garland because I saw that it was the second of the back-to-back with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I saw that they lost their first game of the season against Boston. And I also saw that Donovan Mitchell played like 39, 40 minutes. So I actually thought it was going to be him that was out and that Garland would actually be kind of like the way to go, that he would soak up some of the usage. And you said you like a facilitating point guard kind of against New Orleans. I was on him as well. I'm on a show from 1 to 3 o'clock on Sirius XM, and a producer told me that like in the last commercial break, and I was like, oh man, now I've got to adjust, so we're all at the mercy of that. But thanks for everybody there bearing with us here on the NBA Betting Show. One game that is interesting that we all have plays for is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls. So we are going to start with you, Prop, and we're going to start with you. It is Dame time for Milwaukee tonight.
Yes, sir. So we're going to go with Damian Lillard over 7.5 assists. Just like the Pelicans, I target the Bulls with assists for point guards, right? Been doing this since last season. The Bulls are allowing the most assists per game to opposing point guards at 11.6. Also allowing the fourth most points. I'm not mad at Dame's points either. If you look at the 7.5 assists head-to-head, Dame is over in the last 3 out of 4 with 13, 9, 7, and 8. So the only miss being the hook. I think he's in a great spot for that tonight. He's coming off a 10-assist game against the Houston Rockets. And when you look at the Bulls, they are allowing the most points in the paint this season. What does that mean? Giannis at will, right? So I think Dame will be feeding Giannis and getting him going early. I'm not mad at Giannis's points either, but I think it's a perfect setup for Dame to facilitate and Giannis to kind of dominate in the interior, which is why I like Dame's assist.
All right, fair enough. Listen, Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo are two of the biggest guys to go for on the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm actually going elsewhere, guys. I'm going with another member of Milwaukee because I think this number is low. I'm going with Brook Lopez and his rebounding prop in this one. The reason I like this one, the Bulls are the fastest paced team in the NBA, okay? They get the most possessions in the league, but their field goal shooting percentage is not really that good, okay? So they allow a ton of rebounds. I think more than just Giannis can get involved on the boards in this one. Opponents against the Chicago Bulls wind up with, a team total of 47 rebounds a game. So there's enough to go around. Brook Lopez is averaging on the season around 5.5 rebounds a game. That is above this number. Brook Lopez has had 7 or more rebounds in 3 of his last 4 games, and he's gone over in all 8 games so far this year where he's played at least 31 minutes. And Giannis, you talk about Giannis big time, he should be dominating, but he is kind of nursing a knee injury. Bobby Portis also with the elbow. And also, here's the other thing. With Milwaukee being kind of an 8 or an 8.5 point favorite, I don't think they're going to stretch some of those guys. I think Brook Lopez will be there to kind of clean it up. So for me, Brook Lopez getting at just 5 rebounds, a number he has hit most of his most recent games, is a number that as long as he is in there for enough time, and I think he will not be the guy that they take out. I think if anything, if they're up big, it'll be Giannis, it'll be Portis, it'll be others that kind of rest, if anything, if Milwaukee is up big. So I'm going to be on Brook Lopez as another big man to get boards. But Noops, as I go to you, it's interesting because Prop is talking about how Damian Lillard's going to be able to eat, how Giannis is going to be able to eat. Prop has another pick in this game that we'll get to a little bit later on, but you believe that maybe the Bulls can still be live in this one.
Yeah, I don't expect them to win this game, but I think they'll be able to keep it pretty close. We're looking at a spread of 8.5, and I'm sorry, Prop. I know you're a big Bucks fan, so maybe close your ears here. I don't think Milwaukee is good enough to be laying this many points to what has been a pretty decent Bulls team. They've already beaten the Bucks once this year, and you go back and look at Milwaukee's last couple games. I mean, barely beat the Houston Rockets by 1 with some late game kind of chicanery there. I mean, lose outright to the Charlotte Hornets. They needed overtime against that Detroit Pistons team. It's just things aren't really going together. And I am someone that has long criticized Glenn Rivers and will continue to criticize someone that won a championship, 16 years ago, won Coach of the Year 20 years ago. And it's continued to find ways to basically take some of the most talented teams in the NBA and find a way to stop them. It's just a really rough spot. So I like all the props you guys are looking at. I just have this much closer, about 4.5, 5 points. As much as I do agree with Prop, the Bulls defense is going to struggle not only with Giannis inside, but Dame outside. The Bulls historically have been just really terrible against some of the best guards in the league. I love that angle quite a bit, but at the same time, Zach LaVine, Josh Giddey, Kobe White, there's not really anybody in the Bucks that's going to slow them down very much, and they're not guys that attack the rim as much. So all that good rim protection you get from Giannis, you get from Brook Lopez is a little bit less valuable here. A big guy like Nick Vucevic, he's not interested in being in the lane. He's happy to float out, shoot some corner threes, things like that. I like the matchup here for the Bulls. I continue to think the Bucks are overrated in the market. And honestly, as much as I like both your props, I really do. A Dame over, I'm definitely playing that. I like that Lopez rebounds over. I just think the spread's too big here. The market's just continues to treat this Bucks team like, they're one of the 3-4 best teams in the Eastern Conference. And I'm not sure they're there yet. So give me the Bulls plus 8.5.
All right, fair enough. I mean, listen, Milwaukee and maybe Philadelphia as well, right, have completely underperformed so far this season. Listen, we got a lot of people in the chat already trying to say what's up, saying yo to us. A lot of people out there. Big shout outs to you guys. Good afternoon as well. What do we have? We have the Black Harry Potter. I wonder what house you are in right there, but afternoon to you as well. All right, let's go back. Prop, you have another one in this game, I believe, right? As relates to Taurean Prince, and you're combining points plus rebounds and assists, the full Monty PRA in this one.
Yes, sir. Just another attack on the Bulls' lousy defense. So he's playing the 3 for the Bucks right now, with Middleton being out. He's over this number in 4 out of his last 5 games. He only put up 4 against the Rockets, but that's a much better defense than Chicago. So looking at the Bulls against small forwards, they're allowing the 6th most rebounds and the 5th most assists. Then if you go just at the RA combo, they're allowing small forwards to get 12.8 per game, which is 6th worst in the league. And he's got a great history against Chicago as well. He's over in his last 3, and he's averaging 21.5 PRA across that stretch. So I think he'll be able to score against them. You know, it's maybe 10 to 12 points. I think the model has him for about 10 or 11 a night, something like that. And the model has him over on his assists and rebounds. So once I liked the cap, and then our model liked it too, I just, pretty much put the combo together. I do agree with Noops too, as far as the Bucks underperforming, but I do still think they're a top team in the East. I think a lot of people discredit the fact that Chris Middleton is gone, and he was one of the best players in the playoffs last season. So I hold my judgment on him until he comes back and we get him at full health.
That's
same way with Philadelphia too.
Fair enough. Listen, our guy Sam Chowdhury, who's on this show a lot, likes to do the conservative kind of take it down parlay, and you got a lot of options here in this one, right? Damian Lillard, like, maybe not even the 7.5 assists. You can get him at 6 assists. My guy, Brook Lopez, maybe not all the way up to 5, but you get him to 4 or even less. You like the Chicago Bulls, maybe not plus, maybe you like Milwaukee to win the game, but not cover that number like Noob says. And you can get a money line and then Taurean Prince as well. You could take that down. So maybe there's a little bit of an opportunity there for the solidarity, alternate kind of conservative parlay. I am, however, going to go to this Cleveland and New Orleans game. I mean, as of now, I am seeing numbers still hung for this guy. I know there's a lot of guys out, but I'm talking about Jared Allen, and I'm going to go with Jared Allen on his rebounds prop. I had the big man Brook Lopez from Milwaukee. I've got Jared Allen getting rebounds as well. Now, here's the deal. Truth be told, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. I was on Darius Garland. I wanted to go all on Darius Garland in this game. I thought it was a great matchup. And when I saw Donovan Mitchell, play a ton of minutes last night, I thought it was Donovan Mitchell that was going to sit. So the other thing here is that Mobley played a ton of minutes in this one as well. So I think if anything, he's the one that's going to get something of a break. Mobley had 38 minutes last night, but Jared Allen, I still think, listen, in only 28 minutes last night, Jared Allen had 11 boards. Jared Allen is averaging 10.9 rebounds a game over his last 4. He's gone over plenty of times. And when he goes over, he gets like 15, 16, 17 rebounds. He cruises over these numbers. And so I think he's going to get over 10.5. I also think New Orleans is thin up front, right? Still no Zion Williamson. And here's the thing. The Pelicans have the 3rd worst shooting percentage in the entire NBA at only 43.6%, right? So I think that also equates to more opportunities for rebounds. I think Jared Allen is going to be in there more. He played less minutes last night than Mobley. I think if anything, Mobley will be they'll be conservative with his minutes. Jared Allen will be the guy in there sweeping up the boards against this New Orleans team that is bad, doesn't score a ton, doesn't shoot that well. And so I like also the Cleveland Cavaliers to get back on the winning ways. They had their first loss of the season against Boston. I think at home again, even though it's the second of the back-to-back, they are going to get it done tonight. Let's go on over to you, Noops. You've got a game out west. The Orlando Magic are actually road favorites. They are laying 3 points against the Clippers, and you like them to cover the number.
I do, and this is one of my favorite things that happens in the NBA, guys. I am not going to watch one single second of this game. I'm not going to see it. I'm going to put my bets in. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and see what happens because this game should stink. There's just not a lot of offensive talent here. James Harden's still very, very good. Norm Powell trying his best, but it's going to be really rough here. Jalen Suggs is going to basically terrorize James Harden. The Magic have plenty of defenders to throw at Norm Powell, who, although very good, is a little bit smaller than I think people realize. It's just kind of a nightmare matchup for two teams that play at bottom 10 paces in the NBA. They have bottom 10 offenses in the NBA and top 10 defenses. The Magic, the second best defense. And when I look at this kind of top to bottom, I just think this is a great matchup for the Orlando Magic, who continue to be very underrated without Paolo Banchero. Of course, they're better with Banchero, but they found a way to play solid basketball here. They've basically gone back to being a lockdown defensive team. It's just incredible what these guys can do on that end of the floor. I think they've kept every team they've played under 100 points for the last 2 weeks or something like that. Just absolutely incredible. So as much as I think this game is going to be ugly, I think the Magic match up very well here. I think they should basically have answers for any question the Clippers could ask. I've got the Magic here 5, almost 6-point favorites, so I'll happily lay the 3, as weird as it is to play a road team going out west here. Typically, that's a tough spot for Orlando. East Coast teams aren't used to kind of that time zone change, so could be a little bit tough for them, but they've been out there. They've had plenty of time off here. Everything points to what should be a good performance. I'll lay the points with the Magic.
All right, fair enough. Now, listen, you were talking about a game out west where it is slow-paced teams and there are bad scoring teams. I'm going to a game out west where there are fast-paced teams and high-scoring teams, okay? And I'm doing a little bit of a same-game parlay in this one, but I'm doing that conservative. I'm going to shave a little bit off on all of them. So I'm talking about the Hawks and the Warriors. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going Trae Young, but not over his 10.5 assists that he has listed on the books. I'm going for him to only get 8 assists. He's gotten 8 assists in 13 of the 14 games for the Atlanta Hawks so far this season. The only time he didn't, it was a 30-point loss to the Boston Celtics, right? He only played 23 minutes in that. He averages 36 minutes. I think the pace will be up and down in this one. There'll be plenty of opportunities. Trae Young should do his normal thing, even if he doesn't get to the 10.5. Heck, our model has him going right around that number. He's second in the NBA in assists at 11.6. So that is a safe bet. I'm shaving a little bit off because I think all of these combined are still okay at plus 190, plus 195. The Golden State Warriors, they're 8-point favorites in this game. I don't need them to cover the number. I just need them to win the game. And the Golden State Warriors, they're 10-3 on the season. They're the better team. They're the home team. They've only lost one time so far at home. That was all the way back in their first game of the season to the Clippers. They have been good at home. Atlanta, under 500 on the road. They are kind of finishing up a West Coast swing. They were in Portland. They were in Sacramento. And again, because these teams are so fast, I expect there to be points. The Hawks are the 4th fastest team in the NBA, 102 possessions per game. Golden State right behind them at 101 possessions per game. Our betting model actually shows a huge edge going to the over in this one, a 9% edge going over the number of 238.5. I like that. And that's the only one where I'm actually on the number because I don't think I need to be conservative here because I trust the model. I trust the pace. I trust the scoring. This is not Orlando and the Clippers like like Newts was saying a little bit before. So you get conservative with Trae. You get conservative with the Warriors. You have faith that this game will be a high-scoring game and with good offenses, fast-paced teams, I am comfortable, and I can still get nearly 2-1 on that just in case Trae Young only gets 10 assists instead of that number of 10.5, just in case the Warriors and the Hawks keep it close instead of the 8-point favorite. I am most confident in this one going over the number, and so is our betting model over at FTN. So I'm putting all those together, and you still get about 2-1 on your money. Let's finish it up with prop. You've got a matchup as well. Listen, we're going to Noops. I'm sorry, we're going to Noops. We were talking before the game, before we went on air, and you were saying this Oklahoma City team, that was also weird what happened in their games. They're on the second of a back-to-back, and so you're going with one Wiggins brother, not the Wiggins that is in my prop out west, but the other Wiggins in this one against the Portland Trailblazers. What do you got?
Exactly. I like to think of him as the other Wiggins. We've had Andrew Wiggins in our life for a very long time, but Aaron Wiggins been a solid NBA player for the last couple of years here, a bench player for the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the bevy of big wings that they have, athletic guys, great defenders. We're all pretty solid shooters. And I think the price here on his 3-point total is just a little bit too low here. Over 1.5, we're looking at plus 135. One of my favorite tools to use over at FTN, the same game parlay tool, has this closer to even money. It's just one of my favorite things. Not only does it tell you what the projection is, it also helps you understand what your edge actually looks like. I just really enjoy that quite a bit. So we've got a nice edge here by the numbers. I go back and look. He's averaging almost 5 3-point attempts over his last 6 games. The volume has really increased here. You look at a Thunder team that's coming off one of the more baffling losses of the season so far. As big favorites, they win the possession battle, have 12 extra possessions, still manage to lose the game by 6 to a Wembanyama-less San Antonio Spurs team. I think this will be a good bounce back spot for them. I think Wiggins is going to be really important in this matchup. We'll see him get plenty of minutes, and as long as he gets those 5 attempts up, I think at least 2 are going in. So at plus 135, I'll happily take this one.
I was thinking about Lou Dort in some of the same way and kind of a bounce back for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And you're absolutely right. It was weird against San Antonio. Like you said, no Wembayama. They were big time favorites, but I think San Antonio just shot the lights out. And that's what it came down to here. Let's see. We got Josh Gillen saying Wiggins only played 4 minutes in the second half yesterday. So maybe he's, remember, second of the back-to-back. And we've talked about that, right? Maybe a little bit more. OKC's coach is a goof. And he's not necessarily with you on that one. Prop, what do you think? Because that was one of the more surprising losses in the NBA this season. We all think Oklahoma City, has a bright future ahead of them, going potentially deep into the playoffs. To get upset like that, no Vic for the Spurs. I mean, Chris Paul had his hand shaking for the entire fourth quarter. He was getting banged up again on that left hand, and yet somehow the San Antonio Spurs still took care of the Thunder.
Yeah, I was caught off guard, but I did have a live bet on it because Spurs are going into halftime with the lead with some momentum. Right. So I bet on Champagne. I always pronounce his name wrong, but so I watched a little bit of that game, and I was surprised too. I think the Spurs just got hot. Keldon Johnson showed up. Yeah. And, I think maybe OKC pretty much let the guard down because it was no Wemby, and then he got punched in the mouth. But I don't put too much stock into it, but it was very surprising to see. But I think them being the great team that they are, this is the moment where they bounce back against this lousy Blazers team.
All right, so what do you got on the horizon here, Prop? I know we have some moving and shaking. We'll let everybody know when the next NBA betting show is going to be, but, we've got the holiday weekend, but we've also got the NBA Cup really kind of in full force, and we have another NBA Cup games, I believe at least on Tuesday, but, they're kind of intermittent that we are seeing them, and we're seeing these crazy courts left and right. Prop, what you got cooking for the rest of the week?
So for the rest of the week, tomorrow we're going live for the NFL betting show. I'll have my NFL articles coming out starting tomorrow as well. My route tree for the wide receivers, and then my playbook for my 3 to 5 favorite props for Sunday. And that's pretty much it. Okay. I'll be streaming some NBA on playback, but that's about it content wise.
All right, fair enough. And Props is correct. Tomorrow morning, Eastern time, 11:30 Eastern time, it'll be Prop, myself, and Sam Chowdhury. We'll be doing the NFL version of this show, getting you ready for Week 12, which kicks off with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Weather expected tomorrow night in Cleveland. So we'll see about that. And Cleveland's one of those places where the wind can actually have an impact. I know a lot of people, myself included, don't necessarily care about snow or rain, but the wind in Cleveland is real and to be contended with. Noops, what you got cracking for the rest of the week here at FTN?
Always Hoops with Noops. We're doing a lot of written previews and stuff. I'm always hanging in the FTN Bets Discord, which I learned last week, folks. If you are signed up for FTN, you have access to the Discord, whether you're in there or not. Every single FTN package covers the Discord. Go to FTN, log in. There's a Discord button at the top. Click on that and make sure you're in there. That is the best place to be to get our picks as quickly as possible, to get access to us. You go in there, you tag us. We'll be happy to come in there and respond. I love chopping it up. And, of course, Thursday night football, we'll have some first touchdown scores. We got Will Dissly last Thursday. Hopefully we can carry that luck over to this week.
Nice. I gave it out on the Sirius show on Monday. I got Joe Mixon first touchdown. I also got Joe Mixon 2+ touchdowns in that one. Both of them around 4-1. No, I didn't have the cojones to ladder the touchdowns up to 3, but it was still a very profitable night if you had most members of the Houston Texans. But that'll about do it. I'll see Prop again tomorrow for the NFL version of the show. We will keep everybody posted on next week's NBA show, where, of course, Noops will be here helping us out through the NBA Cup. And if we do not talk to you, enjoy the holidays, okay? It is time for family and football and fun, and we will be here continuing, like Noops said. Get on in the Discord, hit us up, go ahead and join the family at FTN. We are for the numbers, helping you get paid. This is another edition of the NBA Betting Show. We are in the books. Go make these bets. Your balance will thank you tomorrow morning. We out of here. Peace.
Go Bucks.
There you go.